Right, well, welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. I won't be appearing on the camera today. A few internet issues with the laptop, so we'll be using my phone today. So hopefully, obviously, you'll enjoy the video. Still loads of information coming. So obviously, you have to look at my ugly mug. So there you go, bonus. That's got to be a massive bonus, hasn't it? Anyway, we're going to talk about a few different things in this video today. We're going to talk about the latest on Albion Rrahmani, which looks to be certainly heating up over the possible move of Rrahmani to Ibrox. Certainly looks to be on the cards. It seems like the interest in Rrahmani is genuine, and Koppen has held talks with his agent, so more of that to come. We're also going to talk a little bit, obviously, as well about Ianis Hagi and his future. Hagi obviously now focusing on the Euros, but has made a pretty clear statement on what his future holds at the club. Very interesting indeed from him. And a bit of an update on Abdallah Sima. Got to say, I absolutely love Abdallah Sima. It's one of my favourite players. They always say, don't they, never, ever, ever fall in love with a lone player. Maybe I did a little bit because I just think he's a fantastic footballer. I love his directness, his speed, his goal-scoring ability. And I honestly believe, had he not been injured for a large portion of the season, he would have been the top goal scorer this past season. He's certainly a better finisher than Cyril Dessers. Well, where to start? Well, let's start with news about Albion Rrahmani, who is a Kosovan, as some of you will know, and some of you won't know yet. It depends, obviously, whether you saw the previous video or you've checked out, the excellent video that Rangers Journal did on Rrahmani. So he's a Kosovan striker. He plays for Rapid Bucharest in Romania. A poacher, a finisher, a goal scorer, quick, not the most biggest of guys. He's not huge. I think that's one thing that he will have to do if he comes to Scotland, is bulk up a little bit, get a bit more muscle on him, make himself a little bit stronger to cope with the physicality of our league. I do think that will be something he has to address to become a success in Scotland. And look, I think, everyone will say, well, it's a risk, it's a risk. Well, look, every signing's a risk. Even if you went and signed Shankland or Miovski, there is a risk to this. I'm sure when Aberdeen, signed Bojan Miovski, there was a risk that, he might not work out. He obviously has. There is a risk to every single signing that is made. So what do we know? So Kosovar Football reported that Albion Rrahmani is set to become the biggest sale in Rapid Bucharest history. We're going to talk a little bit about transfer fees shortly. Some of you may actually find it a little bit unbelievable, the transfer fee, but according to the sources that I've said, and it's not just the record, there is a number of other sources as well reporting exactly the same bits of information as regards this player. It's very interesting indeed. It said that Rangers are preparing a bid for the player. That is, according to, like I said, numerous sources have confirmed there is an interest. There is no bid as yet formally tabled with Rapid Bucharest, but, and here is the but, it is a genuine interest that has been, sort of confirmed from sources within the club. Slavia Prague are also interested in trying to secure the services of the young Kosovan striker. Albion Rrahmani obviously is a young player still. He's the sort of player that, can come in, be flipped for a bigger fee in the future. If he's a success, hopefully he will be. I think, there's a hope that maybe the Rrahmani could be like Miovski, could really come in and make a huge difference and put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis. Which, after all, is what we need to. I think, one of the things we did lack last season was clinicalness in front of goal, taking our chances. Now, I know Cyril Dessers scored 22 in all competitions, didn't get 20 in the league, despite what some fans. 4 against Ross County, for example. So 2 against Ross County. Had he taken those 2, it would have been a very different game. The 4 against Hearts, the 1 at Parkhead. There's quite a few there you can talk about that he missed last season, and real sitters that he missed as well. Look, is he good enough to be a backup striker? Yes. Is he good enough to be a starting striker? No. Is he the sort of striker who can lead you to a league title and a cup and a proper cup win? Is he a sort of striker that can help you progress in Europe? No, he certainly isn't. He is not reliable enough for me. Yes, he's got a big heart. Yes, he tries a lot, but he's certainly not got the class to become, I think, our main number 9. So someone like Albion Rrahmani seems to be the player that Rangers have identified. Now, look, I will not bow to any. Yes, of course, I would love to see us go for Miovski. Yes, of course, I would love to see us go for Shankland. But there appears to be zero interest in Lawrence Shankland from the club. Miovski, I think, will be massively out of our price range. I think you're looking at 9-10 million for Miovski, which I don't think is realistic for Rangers, given the number of players we will need to buy this window. So what do we know? Well, apparently, according to reports, Nils Koppen has been attending a transfer summit in Cancun, Mexico. Why is it? Why is it they're in Cancun, Mexico, these meetings? That Cancun, Mexico, or, Basel in Switzerland, or, places like that. Why are they never in Arbroath or Fife or Clydebank? Why are they always in places? I don't know. Anyway, according to reports, the Koppen has met with Rrahmani's agent over a transfer fee. Now, reports suggest that Sparta Prague, who we played obviously in the Europa League this past season, have bid £2.6 million for the Kosovan striker. Rangers have apparently offered more than this. Now, I don't know how believable this is, but the report is that Rangers have offered 5.1 million for the signing of Rrahmani, which, some people may find slightly unbelievable. But if there is any truth in it, it does really show that number one, there is a genuine ambition there from the club to improve and to bring in players, and there is clearly a budget there that the team that we have that we're now using to buy players, which is very encouraging. It is also, I suppose as well, it shows the real interest in the player. If they're prepared to go to that amount of money and that sum of money for the player, it does show a real, genuine interest in Albion Rrahmani. So, look, in terms of Rrahmani, his goal scoring record is pretty good overall this past season. He certainly knows where the net is. In the Super League over there, which is their main competition, 15 appearances, 13 goals, 3 assists, a goal every 99 minutes is pretty decent. In the Superliga Championship group, he played 10 times, scored 4 goals, 2 assists. So that's 17 goals and 5 assists in all league games. I mean, that's pretty decent. One in the Romanian Cup, played twice in the Champions League qualifiers for Rapid, also made 2 appearances, scoring 2 goals in the Europa Conference League qualifiers as well. So this season, he came out with overall 30 appearances, 19 goals, which is pretty decent, better than 1 in 2, and 5 assists. So 24 goal contributions in 30 games is a pretty neat achievement by Rrahmani. I did read something slightly worrying on the internet earlier when I was trawling through stories about this lad, trying to find out a little bit more about him. A number of Rapid fans reported that he has missed a number of games this season through injury after international duty. I'm not quite sure what the severity of those injuries were or what the nature of those injuries were. I need to look into that. But I'm sure that's something that Nils Koppen will have taken into account. And, given that Philippe Clement has been exceedingly frustrated this season with the number of injuries that we've sustained, I don't for a minute imagine that, he would have sanctioned any signing of any player who is constantly has injury-prone nature. So I'm sure that is not the case with Rrahmani. Like I said, there are things to work on with Rrahmani. I do think he does need to bulk up a little bit to cope in Scotland, but certainly promising. I think no matter what, no matter if this deal comes off or doesn't come off, if there is some truth in this £5.1 million bid, it certainly shows that Rangers are serious this season about rebuilding and turning this team round and turning it into a winner. Okay, so let's move it along. Now, I've got to say, one of my favourite players is Abdallah Sima. I absolutely love Sima. Top player. I would love to bring Sima in on a permanent transfer this summer. I think, given the fact that he can play left wing, he can play right wing, he can play through the middle. He just offers you so many options. He scored 16, 18 goals last season. Should have had another one in the cup final. Wrongly disallowed, in my opinion. But look, top player. Top player. Now, Brighton have said that they are not willing to make any decision on Abdallah Sima until after a new manager has been appointed. Obviously, Roberto De Zerbi left Brighton at the end of last season. So Brighton did say, there will be no decision over players in or players out until a new manager has been appointed. As yet, I haven't seen any rumours as to the next manager or any shortlisting taking place. So it does appear this is one for the long haul. Now, whether this is frustrating for Rangers and they will want to move this on a little bit quicker and perhaps will turn their attentions away from Sima. Now, reports in Brighton, in and around Brighton, and coming out of the Brighton sources down there, suggest that Rangers could even be priced out of a move for Sima if the club do decide to cash in on him. Reports suggesting that they will want somewhere closer to what they paid for him, or certainly in excess of 10, 11 million pounds for the services of Sima. Now, I do think they are going to be whistling in the wind if they think they're going to get that, given the fact that Sima's deal is currently running down. And obviously the number of injuries that he sustained last season as well may affect teams being interested in securing Abdallah. So it does appear that, any move for Abdallah Sima will certainly be on hold for now until after the appointment of a manager at Brighton. But, look, I certainly hope that they can get a manager appointed sooner rather than later, and Rangers can get something done on this. For me, Abdallah Sima is a top talent, top player, the sort of player that, I think can make a huge difference in this league and for Rangers, not only in Scotland, but also in Europe as well, as we saw last season. Now, one player who has been out on loan last season is Ianis Hagi. Has been a massive talking point. I know he's very popular with our female fans, but look, Ianis Hagi has undoubted class, undoubted skill, has a great range of passing, does lack speed, but some would argue that, the first yard of his speed is in his head because of his ability to create his own space for himself. Now, should he have been sent out on loan last season? I think probably not. It was all down to, I think, a fallout with Michael Beale over the comments that Hagi made. Beale, I think, spat the dummy and kicked Hagi out. Had Hagi stayed and had he been available to Clement, we may have seen Hagi used in a different role or in different ways. I do think, this argument that he's just a 10 is not right. I think he could play as an 8. I think he could play as a 6. I think, he could, play in that role. Some people have said that, he's actually better when he doesn't have his back to goal, when he's facing forward and he can use his range of passing. He's certainly not afraid as well to tackle. So, and I think we've got to also remember that he was coming back from a pretty horrific injury. Now, it does appear, however, that Ianis Hagi doesn't want to necessarily remain with Rangers. From comments that he was making before heading off to the Euros with Romania, he was making comments along the lines of that, that his focus is now on the Euros, on Romania, and that he will be leaving his future to his agents. He refused to confirm whether that will be at Rangers or whether Rangers is being considered for a stay. Now, it looks increasingly likely to me that Hagi is angling for a move away from the club, perhaps to Turkey, to Gala, or one of those Turkish clubs, maybe even joining Mourinho at Fenerbahce. Also, maybe a move back to Spain. He was very clear in his love for playing in Spain when he was with Alaves. And certainly, in the last couple of games, Alaves was one of their better players, had a fantastic game against Real Madrid, which, of course, will have not harmed his value one little bit. Look, I like Ianis Hagi. I think he's a very talented player. I think, that he possibly could play a role for Rangers next season. But, look, if his heart isn't in it, which it seems like it isn't, despite what his father may have said, cash in on him. If we can get 6-7 million for Hagi, which I don't think is unrealistic, then that's very useful money that could be reinvested further into the rebuilding of this squad and this team over this summertime. So I do realistically think that Ianis has kicked his last ball for Rangers. He's done a great job for us, but it's time to move on. It's time to, I think, put things into perspective with Ianis. I think there has been a little bit of rewriting of history as well when it comes to Ianis Hagi from some fans this season. I think overestimating his impact and overestimating what he can do. I'm not saying that he's not a good player, because I do think he is a good player. I'm just saying that he's not perhaps as amazing as some fans made him out to be last season. So some interesting things coming out of the club, but it does appear that this rebuild is serious, that there is going to be a major overhaul of players and change of players and then players in through the door. So look, all great, all positive. We'll obviously bring you any updates on Rrahmani when they break. Hopefully they will break soon. Dying for another signing, guys, after signing of Hefte and Cortez. Certainly this interesting summer continues apace. Well, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please obviously smash that sub. Hopefully be back on the camera tomorrow, but you may have enjoyed it actually without my ugly face on your TV screens, on your mobiles, or on your laptops. Who knows, guys? Who knows? But thank you ever so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please obviously smash that sub, help us to keep the channel growing. Thank you ever so much for your phenomenal support to this point. And as always, there are two things I ask of you on the way out. Number one is smash that like. It beats that algorithm. And number two, remember always, we are the people.